Today's story is about a headline that sounds brand new, but in truth, it's a longer chapter of a longer book. India and the United States have announced a 10-year defense framework again. The world's media is buzzing, and the words are big, and the reactions are loud. Some call it a new era, some say it's a nightmare for rivals, and some say it changes everything overnight. Before we get carried away, let's sit together, breathe, and look at what this pact really is, what it isn't, and what it could still become. When you first read India US sign 10-year defense pact, it feels like a door has opened. Reporters say London and Washington race for catchy titles. Analysts at TV use phrases like historic, game changing. On social media, you'll find usual extremes celebration on one side, suspicion on the other. But this new pact has history. The first 10-year framework between India and the US was signed in 2005. It promised joint production, deeper technology sharing, and stronger military ties. 10 years have passed. In 2015, the framework was renewed with fresh language and familiar hopes. Now, once again, we're back at the same milestone. Another 10 years on paper, another promise of cooperation. So why does it still matter? Because a framework is like a stage. You can perform something great on it or leave it empty. Over the last 2 decades, we did see more exercises, better communications, and a flow of parts and equipment. But that grand dream, co-producing bid platforms at scale, never quite became the main act. Meanwhile, India did reach that level with Russia. Think BrahMos, and with Israel. Think Barak 8 and a range of systems. With the US, the dance has been slower, cautious, and often interrupted by politics and paperwork. Now add today's mood. There are tensions in the relationship, tariffs, technology guardrails, and blunt statements from US leaders that don't always sound friendly. And yet, two sides still extend this framework. That paradox is the heart of our story. A relationship that argues lightly and grows steadily. Let's talk plainly in simple language. First, this pact is not a magic key. It won't make jets roll out of a joint factory tomorrow morning. It won't flip rival strategies overnight. It doesn't erase the honest truth that big co-production with the US has lagged behind what India achieved with other partners. Second, it does keep the doors open though. Frameworks are boring to read and thrilling to use. If both sides choose to use them, they allow working groups to keep meeting, enable trials to move forward, create legal cover for sharing certain technologies, and help companies plan investments. Think of it as a corridor of possibilities. The lights are on, the guards are friendly, and the signs point forward. Whether we walk down that corridor is up to us. Nobody decides it, but just us. Compare partnerships with France. India has built strong momentum, aircraft deals, engine talks, maritime cooperation, and roadmap that stretches far beyond a decade. With Israel, collaboration has been fast and focused, from air defense to UAVs, usually with fewer public statements and more quiet delivery. With Russia, there's old comfort, complicated by new realities. The US sits in a different bucket, massive market, sensitive tech, strict laws, shifting politics. That's why progress can feel like 2 steps forward and 1 step sideways. The fourth point is very important. There's a hidden benefit almost nobody talks about. Over the last few years, the US has become India's single largest destination for defense exports. Not the big ticket items you see on the parade, but the steady heartbeat of aerospace parts, protective gear, subsystems, and components. When Indian MSMEs, medium scale enterprises, medium and small scale, and mid tier firms get those orders from US, they learn, they hire, they improve quality, and they climb the value ladder. A framework helps keep that artery open. But here's the risk: concentration. If one political decision in Washington says no more from countries that buy X from Y, and you get the point what I'm talking about here. Your order book can go from full to empty in practically a week. This is why friendshoring and market diversification are not buzzwords, they're survival plans. So what counts as a real progress this time? What counts as a real progress? The joint platform that actually enters service, made in India, built at scale, supported by Indian suppliers with transparent tech pathways. The engine ecosystems, even if not full transfer, a staged plan for assembly, testing, and eventually deeper manufacturing. In electronics and materials, critical subsystems where India can break free of bottlenecks and build muscle at home. Long horizon training and MROs so that Indian bases, Indian engineers, and Indian crews become indispensable to the life of any platform we touch. And beyond metal and code, there's trust. Trust is slow, it grows when you deliver on timelines, on quality, on confidentiality. India has a chance here. Combine a cost advantage with reliability and scale. If you do that, frameworks don't stay on paper for long. Let's not forget something else happening underneath the headlines, the economic weave. American technology giants are investing billions in India. Indian IT and product teams are building for the world. Supply chains are nudging away from a single country dependencies. In that environment, a defense framework is not a lonely contract. It becomes one thread in a larger fabric of trade, technology, energy, and people. The fabric softens shocks and lengthens patience. When relationships widen, they are harder to break. And yes, politics is noisy. You might hear sharp remarks about tariffs, jobs, and who benefits more. But look closely at the direction: more joint exercises, more logistics agreements, more conversations on maritime awareness, and more alignment on keeping sea lanes safe. It's not glamorous, it's the daily work that keeps a partnership alive. So, where does that leave us tonight? The new 10-year Pact is neither a trophy nor a trap. It's a tool. We have held this tool before. Sometimes we used it well, sometimes we left it on the table and argued about its color, etc. If the next decade is going to be different, it won't be because the font of the document changed. It will be because we built something together that flies, sails, and signals and lasts. If you're looking for a simple way to read this moment, here it is. The headline is loud, the work will be quiet. The promise is big, the proof will be in factories, test ranges, docks, and long maintenance lines. The politics though will swing, the projects must not. If you ask, does this keep rivals awake at night? The honest answer is not the paperwork. What keeps them awake is when paperwork becomes hardware, and when hardware becomes production, and when production becomes export. That's the journey India knows well with some partners. Now the question is, can we do it with the US? Reliably, repeatedly, and at scale. In the end, partnerships are a lot like bridges. They don't matter because they look good in photos. They matter because trucks cross them at 2 a.m. in the rain every day without failing. If this framework becomes a kind of bridge, you won't need a headline to tell you. You'll see it in jobs created, ships maintained, engines tested, and a quiet confidence that your supply chains will hold when the world turns rough. That's the story behind the story, not the miracle, not a myth. A corridor is open. Now it's up to both sides to walk it. Tell me in the comments, what's the one concrete project you want India and the US to co-produce in over the next 3 years, and why? Engines, naval drones, air defense, etc. Your idea might be the next quiet milestone we talk about here. Thanks again for watching. This is World 247 and your host signing out. See you on the next one.